I was 52 years old when I went to the bank and went into my savings and took a deep breath and said, okay, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have grit and passion, and you have to constantly believe that you're on the right path.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 2020 podcast, bringing clarity to business, entrepreneurship, and life. Thank you again for taking the time to join me here to learn and to grow. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. And of course, follow along on Spotify if you prefer that channel. I'm very excited to have an amazing guest in the optical industry, in the entrepreneurship space. She has so many incredible stories to share with us and so many things that we can learn. I've already learned so much just off air right before we got on here. But her name is Suzanne Sendel, and she's the founder of the original FTG, which we're going to learn about during this conversation. She's also the founder of the Suzanne Sendel Agency, which is a distributor of multiple high-end eyewear brands, Coco and Breezy, Catherine D. Medici, Round 10 Eyewear, Custom Eyes, that's Custom EYES, and Kuzoku Lunettes, and so many other cool things that I'm just excited to jump into now, Suzanne. So thank you so much for joining here on the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's so nice to finally meet you.
Yes, it is. It's so nice. I know we've been chatting for a little while and emailing back and forth. So it's great that we're able to finally coordinate this. So Suzanne, you just told me a story that I think is incredible, and I want to really share with the listener and the viewer. You told me that you only actually just got into the eyewear industry, optical industry, about 6 years ago. Did I get that right?
Yes, we're going into our 6th year in January.
Yeah. I'd love for you to share that. Like, how did you find yourself in this industry? If you could what were you doing before, and then what led you to be part of this industry now?
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I worked in the architectural and interior design field for the last 30 years. And my last position was national sales manager for an architectural firm. And I was hired to eliminate 16 reps and replace them with stellar agents for the company. And I was given 6 months to do it. We traveled across Canada and the States, working with all these very successful people. And I decided to take a much needed vacation once the mandate was fulfilled. And on my vacation, my sunglasses broke. So I went into a smaller optical shop on the island. And as I was awaiting the repair, I discovered these amazing hand-painted frames. And I thought they would be very applicable and fun to wear in my business. So I purchased them. And the following year, I must have been stopped at least, 1,000 times. And each and every time I proudly took them off and I shared them with whoever was inquiring. About a year later, I was in New York City at the Javits Center for the Boutique Design Fair. And on my return back, I was traveling with a customer of ours, and we were sitting at the airport awaiting our departure. And I took off my friends and I said, I really should be selling these because I've taken them off so many times, this show specifically. And she responded with, I would buy them. And at that moment, I had an epiphany. The following morning, when I was doing all my follow-up with my reps, my customers, I dropped a blind email to the company. They responded within 20 minutes. And 2 hours later, we were conversing, as we are now, on Zoom. And I basically challenged them. I said, I really enjoy speaking with you. I like your philosophy. I like your product more than you can imagine. And I'd be interested in flying out to your country, covering the expense of the airfare, if you, in fact, would cover my expense while I'm there. And I said, I don't eat too much and I don't need the Ritz-Carlton. I just would like to be safe. And his response was, when can you be here? So I, 2 weeks later, got on this flight, came home, and totally reinvented myself. I resigned from a very comfortable position. I took a deep breath. I went to the bank and I invested in stock in a company I knew just enough about. and started to get on the road and meet some very, very wonderful professionals. And no looking back, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, no kidding. You've done a lot in that period of time. Starting your own distribution company, and more recently starting your own, creating your own product, which has clearly received a lot of, positive feedback, a lot of acclaim in the optical industry. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about, or a lot about, the original FTG. Start with what is FTG, and then show us and tell us, what it does.
Sure, thank you so much. So the FTG stands for Frames to Go. And my daughter also tells me that when you hashtag it, it also stands for the girls,
Oh,
which
good.
is very, very nice.
That's
Although
great.
our product is unisex.
I have to say, Suzanne, it's interesting you mentioned that. You have to be careful what you hashtag these days. You might be thinking it has one meaning, and when you hashtag it, all of a sudden. So I'm glad that you had such a nice alter ego in the hashtag world. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. And daughters can really keep us up to date. I'll tell you that
Yeah,
much.
no kidding.
So I've traveled all across Canada. I drive out east, I drive Ontario, the Maritimes, I fly out to visit you. But I like to travel with all my friends. And I wear plenty of different frames because I have vast collections and I like to show them when I walk into a customer's. And so I found myself constantly packing all these cases, and they were cumbersome and
Mhm.
they were problematic. And if you were doing a weekend or an overnight trip, half your carry-on was frames. So I really got quite frustrated. And I remember last summer, I woke up at about 3 in the morning, and I had this dream of this optical pouch. And I like to sleep with a little notepad on my night table. If ever I have these, ideas
Yeah.
or whatever, I like to have it nearby just to make notes, just in case I forget. So I just sketched it out really quickly, and I went back to sleep and thought nothing of it. The following day, I was on LinkedIn doing some research, and I decided to post a little ad requesting that accessory and bag designers that were local contact me because I had a product I wanted to bring to life. I was fortunate enough to connect with a Parisian who lives in Montreal, who designs bags for Rudsac and Roots.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was lovely. She was so talented and beautiful and young, and she really got what I was looking for. So she helped me put together my PDF and my product, and we decided that we were going to move forward. In the meantime, one of my working partners specialized in sourcing. So it was his responsibility to get us pricing. And he went to 50 manufacturers globally.
Wow.
And the top three that we considered, we commissioned to do samples for us. And one of the companies didn't bode well with the samples. So I wrote them and I was disappointed. And they said, listen, they're happy to go back to the drawing board or they would reimburse us. So I thought right away, this is a very honorable company. And this is the company that I'm going to spend time focusing on.
Hmm.
Well, they're from Vietnam, and we've had nothing but perfection from them. And
That's
we're
awesome.
so over the moon. Because I come from such high-end luxury in terms of my previous career, I'm very meticulous, and I like things to be done well. And I'm patient, and I don't mind paying for it. But I need to know that my customers will have a pristine, well-finished product that they could only be proud of. So here we are.
That's amazing. You know what? We'll come back to the FTG in a second because I would love to learn a bit more about it, of course, and I want to showcase it a bit here. But there's a couple of things that you've said just in these first couple of questions that I think are amazing and really things that have resonated with me. In the subtitle of the podcast title, entrepreneurship is there, and it's a big part of the discussion that I have with a lot of guests. Is um, entrepreneurship kind of has become this word where people sort of throw it around, and I'm an entrepreneur, and some kind of like resale business online or whatever it might be. But I feel the true kind of definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who could take an idea from the ground and start it and build it. And one of the most important things is being able to actually start, just take that first step. And you mentioned that when you had those frames that you loved, you took it upon yourself to just send that blind email, right? Just send it. You have no idea if they care who you are or what they're going to say in return, or if you even hear back. But you sent that email and started that conversation. And then you had the idea for the original FTG, and you thought, well, somebody's got to make this. And you took that first step of putting it out on LinkedIn to get in touch with somebody. I find that that first step is just so important. I don't know why so many people just can't get past it. Do you think there's something like, can you think of like was there some kind of a process in your mind, if you're able to verbalize, like what gave you the confidence to send that email and go from there?
Sometimes you just have to take chances in life. And so many of us come to crossroads in our lives where we've achieved certain goals, but we're not challenged enough, or perhaps we're not fulfilled, or we want to work more with our creative edge and do something for ourselves, whether it's planting a garden, whether it's finding the right partner and starting a family, or whether it's building a business that you're passionate about and you believe in. Look, I was 52 years old when I went to the bank and went into my savings and took a deep breath and said, okay, I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. You have to have grit and passion, and you have to constantly believe that you're on the right path. And there were a lot of bumps, mm-hmm. That's a part of life. But if you believe in what you're creating and you build a solid team, because it's one thing to have a dream, very important to have the team.
I like that. And that's a nice rhyming little phrase that we can use. It's one thing to have a dream. It's another thing to have the right team, right? That's very important. How do you build that team? If you don't mind me asking, what would you say is the first, or what are the first 2 or 3 important steps to know that you're, to building a good team?
Well, I believe in the laws of attraction. I don't want to promote the book, The Secret, but I did read it. I did watch it on Netflix. And I'm constantly reminded that gratitude's a big part of our lives. No matter how difficult life can be or how insurmountable we believe our challenges are, we are so lucky to be here. Mm-hmm. And I wake up every morning with my gratitude list. And the first thing I thank God for is my health. And then the people that surround me, whether it's friends, family, children, customers. Mm-hmm. I'm so grateful to my customers. I could not have done this without their belief in me and their support. So it takes a team.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Waking up with gratitude is maybe the most common, I would say trait or thing that, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here. The most common thing you'll see across all successful kind of business people, entrepreneurs, and other people is that gratitude is always there in place. And obviously it makes sense to have it first thing in the morning. That's awesome. All right. I did take a bit of a sidetrack there. I'd like to come back to the original FTG. Do you have one there right with you? I know you have some in the back, but do you have one in hand right there?
I surround myself with them. I just love them. So this is the nylon ribstop FTG, and this is how it's packaged. You have the bullet points in the back, a little bio on me, and in the front it just describes exactly what it is. And then you have a little sleeve here, and it comes right out. And this is our Pretty in Pink. It's very, very popular. And the interior is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Most of our interiors are navy blue because the color navy blue is the color of trust, according to psychology of color. So I like people to feel that they could really trust our product. You have a little loop here. So if you want to keep it on the back of your door in the washroom or when you travel. And then you have an additional pouch here for your cleaner, your contacts, your business card, your cell phone. And then you have 4 pouches with Velcro straps, and your frames slip right into the pouches. Mm-hmm. They're safely secured. And then in between each Velcro strip is an additional panel so that you have additional padding. so that when you bundle this, you have not only the security and support in the felt of the pouch, but you have the additional side pouches. When this is completely filled with 1 to 4 frames, when you have 4 sunglasses or RXable frames in here, all sizes, by the way, it takes less than 3 inches in height. In fact, do I have one with me? Well, I do, with glasses in it.
Yeah.
So it's quite practical because it can fit into a larger purse, your glove compartment, your briefcase, your tennis bag, your beach bag. It can fit into your sock drawer, which I keep mine in my sock drawer because I like to keep all my frames organized. But we have so many people using them for home organization, for travel, for weekends at the country home, or just, in their home office so they can keep their frames with them. And now that we're all Zooming, eyewear is super important. So having a collection and lovely selection is very apropos.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have enough, I have plenty of friends and family who often ask me, how should I store all my glasses? Is there a case I can get? And all these types of things. Of course, when you're traveling, I like to, if I'm traveling, I'm putting, all my glasses in one of these, kind of clamshell cases, which is fine. They're protective, but they end up getting kind of bulky and cluttery and shoving them in whichever pocket you can fit them in, right? So having something that you can neatly put them in and it's protective is great.
Yeah, we're very excited about it, and we've developed some new products that we're going to be launching in 2021. Right now, currently, we have 6 different colorways of 2 different fabrics. So we have vegan leather. This is called Dare Me because of its color. The pink was Pretty in Pink. We like to name them because we want to make them more personal.
Yeah.
And then again, the interior's in navy with the accent stitching. And it's very rich, and they're very easy to keep clean. They're very practical. And we also do custom branding. So if you're an optical shop and you want us to embroider your logo here, we're doing that for many of our customers. And the minimum on that is 100 pieces. And the embroidering of your logo is no charge. And before we even got our first order in, actually, we had sold to the optical group, to Essilor, and to the Optical Association of Canada. And we're very excited because all these pouches are getting distributed to opticians across Canada. We couldn't ask for a better marketing, plan than that.
Yeah,
so we're very, very excited. We are introducing a larger FTG that will hold the store 1 to 7 frames. And we're also doing car accessories, and we're doing a fanny pack. And we didn't want to be just a one-off. And we basically wanted to, revolutionize the accessory market in terms of not just us selling more glasses or our reps selling more glasses by having, this hot little accessory to help open doors. But we wanted our opticians and optometrists to know that we've got your back. We're promoting you. We're cross-marketing. We're doing all types of events on social media. But more importantly, we've chosen not to sell retail for the first 6 to 8 months so that we can drive in traffic to your store. And we've been told by a number of our shops that have reordered 3-4 times since we launched in mid-June that people have been coming in and asking for them by name and leaving with a very positive experience. In one case, new sunglasses. In another case, an appointment to have their eyes checked. So it really does drive sales, which is what, we really wanted to do collectively as a business.
Of course. That's amazing. I think the fanny pack idea is awesome. That's very point for fashion trends these days. I see a lot of, my sister's a lot younger than me, and she's all into fanny packs. But I see that as a cool trend that's definitely coming back. I remember back in the early 90s, at least, I used to have as a kid, like fanny packs were kind of cool back then. I don't know if we called them fanny packs, but that's a different story. I'd love to touch a little bit on frame styles and trends and things. You carry multiple different brands, all of them kind of being on the higher end or very unique and different. Anything that you could share with us, what you think is coming in, in 2021 or kind of on trend right now that people, ECPs who are looking to put them on their board, or potentially consumers who are listening and want to kind of stay on trend. What can you suggest right now?
Well, I think that quality is priority. The less warranty issues we have is very significant. There is a very big trend right now across the States, Canada, and Europe, giving ECPs the opportunity to design, develop, and have us create their own line of frames, and not from China. Nothing personal against China, but from my own personal experience, we've had a lot more luck with Italian. So one of our latest collections, which we're launching the 15th of December in North America, has shown tremendous success across Europe. We have 70 reps on the road with this collection. And basically, we're offering you the opportunity to create your own line within our frame selection. And there is a multitude of styles, patterns, Pantone colors to work with. And the price points are so phenomenal. And you could turn around and you don't have to do a markup that's typical in our industry. You could go a lot higher and deliver a quality product that will, emulate and give the ECP the opportunity to be their own boss, to have their own freedom, and within a price point that's acceptable to all because it's so reasonably priced. I do see a lot of chunkier frames. I see a lot of, clear, translucent, transparent acetates. I just believe that, each optician specializes in a certain type of demographic and style, but more and more we're seeing ECPs take chances. And because there's so few independents left as boutiques and as practices, to really stand out and to be a destination to your patients and customer, you really have to work with companies that can provide you the diversity that will really shine when people walk into your store or your office.
I think you're absolutely right. That's so important. The further we go, I feel like the more important it is to kind of have that unique offering, something different. And it seems that I love the fact that this has been my observation anyway, that the consumer is more discerning and is not, generally speaking, I see this trend, that not as concerned about the name brand, more the quality and the story and that type of thing behind the product that they're buying. I feel like maybe that's a millennial generation kind of a trend more than anything else, but it's nice to see that. So for the opportunity for ECPs to have their own line, so to speak, their own branded product, I think that's something that I personally love, having that kind of autonomy, if you will, of selling your own product and it being a luxury product, not a entry-level product. I think that's really, really cool. So Suzanne, there's two questions I ask everybody at the end of each podcast. Before we get onto those, I'd love for you to share, how can people connect with you? Where would you like them to go to learn more about you or the original FTG?
Sure. Thank you so much. We're very, very active on social media. And my company is Suzanne Sendel Agency, Sendel. Suzanne is Zanne. And we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. The original FTG has its own social media platforms as well on Instagram and Facebook. And you could contact me directly at suzannesendel@gmail.com. I'd be happy to hear from you. Mm-hmm. And we have some stellar agents across the country who'd be happy to visit with you as well. And we're just so humbled. I just wake up every morning and I feel so fortunate, even with COVID and limitations and cancellations, with the computer and a really cool pair of glasses and an idea, you can go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And the glasses are very important in that formula. So the two questions that I like to ask every guest at the end of the interview, the first of those is if we could step in a time machine and we could go back to a point where you were struggling, whether personally or business or whatever it might be. You can share that moment if you would like to, but more importantly, what I'd like you to share is what advice would you give to yourself at that moment if you could go back and share some advice with yourself?
As we discussed earlier in our conversation, I am very creative. I was raised by incredible Hungarian women,
Mm,
and my mother was my mentor. Unfortunately, she died when I was very young, and I was pregnant with my first child.
mm,
So I wasn't that young, but young enough, and she was very young.
mm,
And I think the hardest part, the biggest lesson I learned was selection of the people that you work with. I had, written a television treatment and pitched it to a number of producers. And we ended up signing a contract, and we were starting to work with PBS in Boston on creative development. They had 17 affiliated networks, and it was a great concept. And unfortunately, my host went rogue and tried to forge his own contract over and above our already signed contract. My producers got wind of it because, like any industry, it's tight knit and people do this.
mhm,
And sure enough, I got a phone call from our producer telling me that I had breached contract and that they were walking away from this show. So my kids came home from school that day and they found me on the kitchen floor in a puddle of tears and self pity.
mm,
And what I realized is that in the back of my mind, there was always that I don't know what it was, but it was there. There was a level of, am I absolutely 100% sure I'm partnering with the right person? And he had already been a guest host on television, so I felt it was ideal for him. And I liked him very much, but it was the wrong choice. So, what I took out of that experience of working in that industry for a number of years and investing so much in bringing this show to fruition, the entertainment lawyers and protecting and copywriting your rights and so on, what I learned was it's all about the people. At the end of the day, my greatest lesson in life is choose selectively, take your time, and really always trust your gut.
mm. Trust your gut. I think that's a tough thing for people to do. Maybe we get in our heads a little bit too much or analyze whatever it might be, but trust your gut is an
I,
important one.
I think it comes. I think it comes through experience and maturity. You've
Mm,
heard the expression, if only I knew then what I know now. But in reality, I've told my very close friends that if I happen to pass, I want everyone to know that's close to me that there are no regrets in my life, that I've experienced so much wonder and I've had so many wonderful opportunities. And what makes me the happiest is knowing that every morning I wake up, I can smile and say, in the eyewear business.
that's wonderful.
It's
That's
true.
wonderful. So the last question that I would like to ask is with everything that you've accomplished now, in your career prior to optical and within the optical business, starting FDG, um, how much of your accomplishments and what you've achieved so far would you say is due to luck, and how much is due to hard work?
Well, I would have to say that luck has been a big part of my my business and my success. But I think that it's the people. It's surrounding yourself with the right people, and again, it's the laws of attraction. I feel very, very fortunate. I have a great team of stellar reps in the States and in Canada. We have distribution in Australia. We're working in the UK. We just launched in mid June. And I think a lot of people are enjoying this product for obvious reasons, but they also appreciate the fact that somebody took a chance to bring it to life for them. And I'm just like anybody else, except I really just kept going no matter
Mm,
what. I just believed enough that no matter what, I was going to see this through, because if you don't have that stamina or that tenacity or grit, you just need to believe that you've got it and bring it to life, because every one of us has it. It's just a matter of deciding to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. That's a perfect way to end the interview, actually. I really appreciate those insights. And you exemplify all of those things in all the things that you've done, sending those emails, making those phone calls, and doing all the things that you've done in your career to get to where you are now. So that's wonderful information. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Any other last words of wisdom or important messages you'd like to share with us before we wrap up?
Well, as I said earlier, I don't want to get patriotic, but I'm certainly proud to be Canadian, and
Yeah.
I really look forward to meeting you as soon as we're able to travel again freely. I'm very grateful for this interview. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining me. And I also am grateful to be Canadian. Thank you again, Suzanne, for joining me. And thank you, everybody who's watching and listening. Once again, don't forget to check out Suzanne and check out the original FTG on all those different social media channels. And don't forget to subscribe to the 2020 podcast on YouTube, on Apple Podcast, and you can follow along on Spotify as well. You can see me on Instagram at harbirsayan.od. I look forward to connecting with all of you and look forward to sharing another amazing interview with you very, very soon. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.